Well, I'm here at Duxford filming the last air show of the 2009 season, and it's been a mixed day. It's been overcast and then sunny, so we've had really challenging filming conditions, but the camera that I've used today has coped superbly, and it's this one, the new Sony XD-Cam EX PMW-350. This is a 2/3 inch XD-Cam EX camcorder, and it's really superb. But not only have I been using this camera, but I've also been using the XD-Cam EX1R. Now the EX1 is a favourite of mine. I love the EX1 camcorder, but they've made it even better with some nice, straightforward, simple revisions. So let's take a look at these two new cameras. We have the PMW-350 and the EX1R. Let's have a look first at the EX1R, which is an update and an evolution of the EX1. So looking at the rear of the EX1R, the first thing you'll see is this extra piece here that has HDMI output, the audio-visual output, and the component output of the camera. These used to be down underneath the hand grip and were hard to get at, and HDMI is a new addition. The power switch has been changed. This now has a central locking tab, so it's very easy to switch it over to camera, slide it back to the center position, or slide it over to media. And incidentally, the camera now starts much quicker. It's about 3 seconds to start up, much faster than the old EX1. Still on the back here, you'll notice we have an orange surround to the switches, which makes it much easier to see which positions the switches are in. And the menu scroll wheel is now raised above the body of the camera, which makes this much easier to operate. In addition, the menu button has been moved from the side to the rear of the camera. Now let's take a look at the viewfinder, which is just above. This viewfinder is a new viewfinder. It uses the same screens as the Sony Z5 and Z7 HDV camcorders, and it's a big improvement over the old EX1 viewfinder. Looking at the side of the camera, not a huge amount of differences here, other than a light here for cache record. The EX1R now has cache record, and a button up here for slow and quick motion. By pressing this button, from whatever mode you're in, the camera goes into a preset slow and quick motion mode that you can choose in the camera's menus. So it's very simple and very fast to just do occasional one-off slow and quick motion shots. Pressing the button again returns the camera to your chosen normal shooting mode. Looking at the ND filter selector, there's now a little notch here and the spring is stiffer. This is much easier to use than it used to be. It doesn't have that tendency to slip all the way across now thanks to the detent. The changes under here under the lens are quite subtle. They've added a little raised piece of plastic here and they've put a notch on the shutter switch. And this means that you can feel which switch your finger is on much more easily when you can't see these switches. Around to the right side of the camera, and a few small differences again, most notably with the shape and the size of the hand grip. It's been raised slightly on the camera body, and there's a recess under here for the palm of your hand, so it's much more comfortable to hold. In addition, the record start stop button has been recessed, making it easier to find and more natural to use. In addition, on the top of the handle here, there is a button for auto iris, so when you're in manual iris mode you can quickly press that button to set the iris automatically. On the top of the camera there's been some changes as well. There's now a second shoe on the back, and the camera is supplied with a screw-on plate to turn this into a sliding shoe, like a flash gun type shoe, for adding accessories on the rear of the camera. There's still a shoe on the front, but this has been added here. The zoom rocker on the handle here hasn't been changed physically, but there's now a menu setting that gives you a smooth transition from 0 speed to the full speed. So now your zoom starts smoothly and stops smoothly. Up here under the handle, this used to have membrane switches. Now you have proper push button switches, much easier to find and much easier to operate. So those are the changes to the outside of the camera. But what else has been added? Well, the most significant addition is the ability to record standard definition. The EX1R can record DV-Cam AVI files onto the S/S cards. As well as DV Cam, there's a new HD mode, which is 1440 by 1080 at 35 megabits per second. Now let's have a look at the new camera, the PMW-350. One of the best features of the PMW-350 for me is the viewfinder. It uses the same LCD screen as the PMW EX1 and EX3, which we all know to be very, very good. When I was shooting the air show with the camcorder, I found it was very easy to get everything in focus and very easy to judge exposure. In addition, it has a switch on the front for flipping the image, so you can flip the image left and right and upside down. So this will be very useful for anyone using 35mm film adapters. Like all the other EX camcorders, it records onto two S/S cards at various bit rates. The maximum bit rate is 35 megabits per second, although the camcorder does have an HD SDI and HDMI output, giving you the full 422 uncompressed signal. It has 4 channels of audio with 4 separate audio controls. There are 2 inputs on the rear of the camera, and on the front you have another stereo input for the front microphone, so it's quite easy to get 4 channels of audio into the camcorder. In use, it only draws 15 watts of power, so a 90 watt-hour battery will last you 4 or 5 hours, and when I filmed a full day of flying at the air show, 1 battery was all I needed. And this for me is a big issue because I travel a lot, so now when I'm going overseas, if I were to take one of these, I'd only need to take 1 or 2 batteries and a small charger. I don't need to have a flight case full of batteries anymore, as I do with some of my other cameras. The camera records both high definition and standard definition. In standard definition mode, it records DV Cam AVI files onto the S/S cards. In high definition, it uses the same format as the smaller EX cameras, so that's MPEG-2 in an MP4 wrapper. And this codec really is very good. Even at 35 megabits per second, the pictures are spectacularly good. Now let's take a look at the lens on the 350. You can buy the 350 body only or with this lens, and it's actually a really rather nice lens. Like the EX1 and EX3, you can switch it between autofocus and manual focus by sliding the focus ring forwards or backwards. Now, one of the nice things about these lenses that focus internally is that there's no breathing. With most traditional ENG or 2/3 inch broadcast lenses, when you turn the focus ring, the lens appears to zoom in or zoom out very, very slightly. This is called breathing. But with this lens, there is no breathing as you focus, which is a very nice feature. But one thing you should be aware of is that you can't use this lens on other 2/3 inch camcorders, because the flange back adjustment is done electronically. So there's no manual adjustment, which you would need if you were using it on another camera. So it really is a dedicated lens for the 350. But I really liked it, and I'd be more than happy to have one of these lenses. So what do I think of these two cameras? I think they're brilliant. The 350's really caught my attention. This is a very serious piece of kit, and it produces stunning, stunning picture quality. And I'm going to be looking very closely at that, and I may even buy one for myself. And the EX1R, well, I would like one of those too, but I've already got an EX1, so I can't have too many camcorders. But the EX1R just makes so much sense. They've fixed all those little niggles and bugs in the EX1 that used to annoy me, and they've also added standard definition, which I think is a huge step forward for the EX camcorders. The EX cameras just continue to go from strength to strength, and I think they are a great product line from Sony.